Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another edition of the 77%, the show where we discuss issues of importance to you, Africa's youth. My name is George Okachi and I'm your host for today. Well, this week we want to have a conversation around teenage pregnancy and early marriage. And coming up, we meet Bibata, a dancer who is using art to demand respect for working women. We talk to teenage moms about how pregnancy changed their lives. And we meet a young Namibian woman who escaped child marriage. Now, we've got a few emotionally tough topics to tackle in today's show, but we'll start by meeting a Malian dancer, Bibata Ibrahim. She is a Bamako-based artist using artistic expressions to speak out against gender inequality. This outstanding dancer has stamped her footprints internationally, but home in Bamako, she has intensified the call for respect to women.
My name is Bibata Ibrahim. I am an artist, dancer, performer, creator, and interpreter. I am currently with the Faso Dance Theatre, run by Sajeme Koulibaly.
Bibata is in her element. She's performing her solo act on the streets of her hometown, Bamako. In it, she dramatizes women's struggle for recognition and respect.
I wear miniskirts, mini dresses, and I walk around in them all day. That doesn't mean I'm a whore. It doesn't mean that I'm for sale, that I'm a cheap girl, or that I'm exposing myself to pick you up. No. It's just that I have principles. I have principles that I respect, that make me respect myself and that make people respect me.
In her performance, Bibata uses her skill as a dancer to fight against the assignment of traditional female roles.
It's about a woman who is looking for work and is told, "But you are too beautiful for work. You don't need to work. Come, I'll marry you, or come, you'll be my girlfriend or my mistress, and I'll take care of you. I'll put you in a nice house and take care of you."
Bibata has had similar experiences, patronized for simply being a woman or being taken for granted in her work.
There were times when I was discouraged. I wanted to give up. I wanted to drop everything. But then there's something in me that doesn't want to give up. I know that one day things will be better. And when women finally climb higher and higher, I hope the men won't be resentful or jealous, because it does create a bit of jealousy. But that's not such a big deal. That's normal.
Malian society is still very much dominated by men, and there's a long way to go to reach equality.
The world is changing, and I think that as time goes by, these things will change. And those who don't understand that, they'll be the ones who suffer.
Certainly, change may be uncomfortable for some, but as Bibata says, if you don't understand the importance of equality, you may soon be the one to suffer for it. Well, speaking changes in life, let's talk about teenage pregnancies. And unprotected sex is the reason why young girls may find themselves unexpectedly pregnant. But there are numerous underlying reasons for this. And Edith Kimani and our street debate team headed to Windhoek in Namibia to find out more.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the 77%. This week we are in Windhoek in Namibia, more specifically in Havana, the informal settlement that you see behind me. And it's because statistically, low-income countries are more likely to experience the problem of early pregnancies or teen pregnancies compared to high-income countries. And particularly in this area, you can imagine that it's a serious problem. And that's why we're here and we want to find out, why does this problem exist? What are the consequences and what can we do to put an end to it? Who better to answer these questions for me than some Namibians? And we're going to begin with By Grace. She's actually looking very scared right now. But that's all right. So By Grace, you're a teen mom and you made headlines here in Namibia because you actually got pregnant at the age of 14. Can you tell me what happened?
My parents had like a funeral of my grandmother and they'd go like back and forth to the village. But then when they found out that I had a boyfriend, that's when they started asking me questions like, did you start having sex and all of that. Then I told them that yes, I've had sex and I didn't get my period for so long and all of that.
What was going through your mind?
Okay, it was actually a time where I was depressed and my scores at school were very weak. I also kind of thought about like having abortions and all of that.
So the thought crossed your mind, but you opted against it. How old was your boyfriend at the time, by the way?
21, I think.
21. So you were a 14-year-old dating a 21-year-old.
Yes.
But you're back in school now.
Yes,
yeah? I am. Amore, you haven't been able to come back to school. You're working in a tuck shop at the moment.
Yes.
So did you have to drop out immediately you got pregnant, or what happened?
No, I went to school until I was 8 months pregnant. And then like my water broke at school.
Your water broke when you were in school?
Yes.
Can you talk to me through that experience? I mean, that must have, I can't imagine. Were you in class? Were you out in the field playing?
We were rotating. Yeah, we were like, changing classes most.
Did you also have an older boyfriend?
Yeah, I was having an older boyfriend. He was like 25. But the reason I took an older boyfriend was like the needs to support, toiletries, those things.
So your parents were not in a position to do this for you, I imagine?
Yes. Yeah. But then the guy was even denying when I told him that I'm pregnant until she was 8 months. That's the time he accepted the child because we went for a DNA.
Let's come to Immaculate, who's on this side. She's a senior research fellow. What do the figures say?
Teenage pregnancy is indeed a serious concern. The Namibian government have what we call the education monitoring information systems. A significant number of the learners that are not coming back are actually due to pregnancy.
Due to early pregnancy.
And there you can see it around 40%.
40%?
For reasons why learners are not returning to school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to speak to, where is he? West. Here he is. Why is the rate of teen pregnancy so high?
A lot of kids are being approached by adults or maybe bigger boys.
Yeah.
So this is also to get a fresh fruit.
What do you mean, a fresh fruit?
Fresh fruit is like, let me say this, I'm proud of myself because I have been breaking maybe 15 girls or virgins or something like that. So for us it's a joke or maybe it's a fun thing.
Okay, let's hear from Frida. What are some of the stories that you've heard from the people you're working with?
Most girls that usually let me say fall pregnant, or the stories that I've met, are people from traditional aspects. And traditionally you're taught to not sort of really refuse when a man approaches you because this man is older than you are. Firstly, that other person is a perpetrator. Yeah. He's a rapist. You had sex with an underage child. That's rape. And I personally feel like their bodies are really not fit. At 14, your body is not fit to carry to term. You should be given the option of, no, if you want to have an abortion, not even if you want to, you should have an abortion because very much you're young. But
isn't it, what does the country's constitution say about the legality or illegality of abortions here?
Only under 3 conditions, if I'm speaking under correction, 4 conditions.
Yes, contextually under the law, abortion is legal. So, but legal only under very restrictive conditions. Outside of that, it's criminalized, which means that if you do go for a backdoor abortion, you will be arrested when you will be fined 5,000 or 5 years imprisonment or both.
So I'm guessing, Immaculate, that given what we've just heard, that the number of unsafe abortions is probably on the rise, just as teen pregnancies are.
Yes, we hear stories of women or young girls who bleed themselves almost to death. It is really a horrendous story. It's the issue of finding a way to liberalize abortion in Namibia is a matter that needs the urgent of all the attention that we need to put
I'm curious to hear from Simpson what his views are. We have the ladies there who are saying that abortion should definitely be an option on the table, particularly for seriously young mothers. The church is very clear on this. It forbids it. Is there no middle ground whatsoever?
I don't think we as human beings have the right to take life. We should support the mother in terms of going through this process.
Okay, Frida, you had something to say to me earlier. Please go ahead.
Women should be given the choice because Simpson said we should let women carry to term. But do we actually ask these women what emotionally, what have you gone through carrying this baby to term?
You asked an important question, which I want to ask by Grace. The emotional toll that it takes on you to carry a baby when you're 14 and not really being ready to. How was that emotionally, what Frida was talking about?
Sometimes I felt like I don't want to go to school and or go to church. Even to be honest, like currently, since I gave birth, I did not really go back to church because I felt like it was like a shame to the people. Like, they'd maybe look at me in a way of like I've sinned or...
Tell me about your life since you gave birth.
Okay, my parents have actually been supportive and they they hired a nanny.
Okay, Immaculate, obviously not everybody will have the luxury of having their parents get a nanny for them or the ability to even go back to school. So what are some of the long-term consequences of teen pregnancies, even within the community?
It's total dropout. For majority of young girls, they get caught into that system where the partner just wants nothing to do with the pregnancy, and parents also have a tendency to continue ostracizing them by putting punitive measures on these young girls. So school dropout is really, for most girls, the only alternative.
And I also read that, incidentally, people who are teen mothers are more likely to raise children who will themselves become teen parents.
Yes, it becomes a cycle.
So let's now look at the solutions, because this is a problem that is faced surely around the globe, but particularly in Africa. What do we do so that in the next 10, 20 years, we don't have another 10, 20,000 by Graces?
I personally would say let's legalize abortion. But if you don't support abortion, it's fine. You don't have to, but give other people the choice to make that for themselves.
All right, fantastic. Immaculate, very quickly, please.
There are worst-case scenarios where pregnancy takes place because of rape or incest. But then there are also cases where we really need to bring back the joy, the fun, the beauty of sex back into the platform. So that sex can no longer be destigmatized. Bring it back so that those youngsters who want to engage sexually can apply their minds and know that I know whatever that is there to know. Let's bring back the beauty of
we're
sex.
just wrapping up this debate, and I want to hear from the two ladies here.
I would prefer that girls take contraceptives at all time. But sometimes contraceptives are out of stock. That's even one thing. Always it's not there. When you go follow up, it's not there. So
thank you. I like that. By Grace?
I'm not saying you should fall pregnant, but if you do end up fall pregnant, it's not the end of the world.
Okay, I really like that. That's actually a really positive note to end on. It's not the end of the world if you do become a teen mother. But most importantly, going back to what people were saying, education is key, and making sure that these conversations are happening out in the open. As usual, thank you so much for watching.
And many thanks, Edith. And if you live in a community with similar challenges, what would be your solutions? If you want to watch a longer version of the debate, is up for you, and it's on our YouTube channel, DW the 77%. And make sure you comment on that. And now, we've heard about the two young moms and their experiences, and how about the young dads? And this reminds me personally of two friends whom I won't mention their names. Now, the day these two dudes received the news that they had impregnated their girlfriends, I'm telling you, the unease, uncertainty, and fear was huge. How did they end up? That's a story for another day. For now, our Girls of Mute reporter Sylvia Adhiambo caught up with a teen dad in Nairobi, and here is what she learned.
A lot has been said about teenage mothers, but there is a forgotten lot. Teen dads. Most of these young men are shunned by communities and feel neglected. My name is Sylvia Nairobi, and on Girls of Note today, we focus on Amos. His is a tale of being thrown into fatherhood at the age of 17 while still in school. Amos had a high school sweetheart when he was in grade 11. She was a grade below him, so he used to help her with her homework. Their parents were used to seeing them together.
You know, we are human beings, so I had feelings, she had feelings, but nobody has ever told each other whether they're in love or not. But it just came suddenly, like that. I just found myself and her in a relationship.
Amos and his sweetheart started having sex, and she fell pregnant.
I was worried because, you know, she was a schoolgirl, I was a schoolboy, so we were both learning, and it just affected our education.
And what did you think? Did you think of abortion?
Actually, that never came in my mind because the way I've been raised, people do respect life in our community, so it was difficult for me to advise her to abort it.
And what was your next move? As in, what did you do next?
Okay, since I was afraid because her parents were harsh, it forced me to move from Kibera to another town, whereby I had to go for missing for some few weeks and some days before I came back after the story had been sorted out.
But when Amos returned, he was arrested. It's illegal for children here in Kenya to engage in sexual acts. However, such offenses involving minors are often handled differently to those involving adults under a system called conversion. The law usually applies to teens who engage in consensual sex.
The chief decided and advised me not to drop out of school, and he advised me to be attending in the school each and every day. So he called my parent, who is my dad, and he told him that he's the one who will be responsible for my child and the girl. And that's where I had the freedom to go back to school freely.
But despite that, his dad hasn't offered the support needed. Amos has now been forced to take on the responsibility of an adult to support his new family. The girl is at the moment out of school and has already given birth to a baby boy. Amos sometimes hires this motorbike taxi to make ends meet.
This work, I'm doing it for survival because for now I'm an independent boy, and in fact I'm a dad. So I love my family, I love the girl, so I'm supposed to provide for them. So I can't just get seated because they do depend on me. So I just must wake up in the morning, come for my hustle, and do all this for my survival, and because I love them and I must provide for them.
The hostility from the family of his baby's mother is still there, but Amos says he's keen to mend fences and win their hearts.
Well, I find that personally impressive, and good luck to Amos and his family. And we got a couple of comments on this video on our Facebook page, and Prince, let me just check on that. Prince J from Cameroon says, a great move, a step which even some mature men can't still handle in our society today. And we have Generica Lokonya from Kenya who says, in my village, I think he must be 19 or 20 years old with 6 kids, plus him and his wife. Wow, Generica, that sounds like a lot of responsibility for anybody, let alone somebody that young. Now, in some cases, teenage pregnancy runs hand in hand with early marriage. According to the United Nations, there are currently about 650 million women and girls around the world who are married before the age of 18. And if things don't change, there will be 170 million more girls married by 2030. Now, the UN wants to eliminate child marriage completely, but it seems there is still going to be a long way to go. Now, in Namibia, almost 1 in 5 girls experiences a child marriage. We went to Kavongo region in northeastern Namibia, where the highest number of child marriages occur, and caught up with a young woman who told us her story.
Machiku, a village in northeastern Namibia. The place is home to Hilda Mafuta. She was raised by her grandma along with 6 other children. With her family struggling to make ends meet, her grandma arranged for her to be married at just 16.
It wasn't my choice, it was the choice of my grandmother. When I came for August holiday, that room was built. My grandmother said that there's a man who came to me. And then I asked her, which man, and for what and why? And then my grandmother said, the man came and then he asked me your hand into marriage. I asked her, why? Why did you allow the man to build the house without hearing it from me?
Hilda married a man 14 years older than herself, but she's far from alone. According to the Namibian government, almost 20% of girls in Namibia are forced into marriage, compared with only just over 4% of boys. Unsurprisingly, the marriage took a toll on her teenage life and education.
The man was too harsh on me, and then he never wanted me to be friends with my friends anymore. And then after school, I just have to be at home. And then working for him all the time, it really felt like it's really difficult for me to do all those things. To me, it looked like it's a punishment.
A punishment that even traditionalists in Hilda's village are starting to acknowledge and slowly unravel.
Because of school, I say it's not good, the child marriage. Even though there is school, but we can make a means that while she is in the school, she can also come for a first period initiation, then back to school.
So attitudes are changing. But in her marriage, Hilda was determined to make her own choices.
I wanted to have children with me, but I even saw myself very young to have children at that age. And I never agreed with that idea of him. I have to go to the clinic and get injected for family planning. But when I went to the clinic, I have to make sure that he should not know about it.
With her husband frustrated by her inability to get pregnant, Hilda's marriage became even more strained.
The man never respected me. And the night where I decided to leave the guy is, he asked for sex and then I said no, I'm on my period. And then the guy slapped me. So I really got angry. I packed my things, then I moved to my grandmother's house.
The ill-fated marriage caused Hilda to fall behind in her education. But now, at 21, she's back on track to finish secondary school.
And one thing parents should remember is the man that they are giving their child into. That man also had parents that sent him to school and never into marriage. That person became somebody because his parents sent him to school.
Hilda isn't sure if she wants to get married again or have children. But one thing's for sure, next time it will be her choice.
And this story illustrates how early marriage can indeed disrupt a childhood. And in my opinion, marriage should actually be a personal choice. And on a lighter note, talking about marriage, have you noticed a growing social media craze about wedding dances? It's almost like a competition between couples about who can lay down the best dance routines. And well, the dance trend has also hit Uganda, so let's see which moves are trending there.
It's becoming more and more popular at weddings these days. After the church ceremony and the vows, the bride and groom entertain their guests with choreographed dance moves. In Uganda, the man behind the dance craze is Alan Muhebwa, founder of Chu Sawato Dance Creations, a local term for move your waist.
When a bride and groom want entertainment at a wedding, what they would usually do is seek out to hire a traditional group or a musician or an artist. So that is when the idea came to me, say, how about can we have more entertainment from a bride and groom and their entourage?
Alan teaches the couples trending dance moves from around the continent.
1, 2. The next move I want you to do is 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go. And 1, 2, 1.
The couples are more into what is trending now. So some of the trending moves we have are, you know, the piano moves, yeah, and then we have, I'm sure most of you have heard about the shaku shaku, yeah, and then
we really wanted something fun and enjoyable. Plus, I like music. He used to be a dancer in high school.
Yes. So we figured we could join that, fun, dancing.
And also involve our whole entourage, our maids, yes, bridesmaids and groomsmen.
And it brings that dancing mood and clearly tells you weddings are becoming so creative these days, and they seem to be a big business. And that's a wrap for today. You can see more of our content or join in the conversations. And you know what to do. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel or Instagram. Comment or drop us a line via email to 77@dw.com. We are ending this week's show with Nigerian artist Arya Star. Believe it or not, she's only 19. And that is it from me. My name is Jojo Kachi. Thank you for watching.
I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill my. Wise man said, follow the stars. There you shall find a piece of advice. If you hit your enemies, enemies shine. If you're not a friend of me, enter the light. Cause you can never kill my vibe. Got here with no sacrifices. Everything was taken, still had to make it. Vibe killer, me I no go take shit. Vibe killer, bloody somebody time. Protect my energy from your bad aura. Then my pastor.